and welcome back to another episode of Varsity Weekly. I'm your host, Noelle Blumel, and this episode is full of everything from the start of high school football playoffs to women's collegiate golf, and finally, our Southern Arizona report. So to start us off, I'll hand it over to Paul Schultz and Stowe Safaropoulos, who will break down the football playoffs for the 4A through 6A division.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Varsity Weekly. I'm Stowe Safaropoulos. Alongside me is Paul Schultz, and today we're going to kind of be breaking down the 6A, 5A, 4A playoffs for you guys. Paul, let's start off in the 4A division. At least for me, Paul, I think you've been to a few of these games as well, but I've seen a lot of Buckeyes games this year. They had a huge game against Yuma Catholic earlier in the regular season that they lost by 3. Sadly, they weren't able to get the job done last night. A 56-42 final score, a really high-scoring game, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Buckeye a week ago with a high-scoring victory in their last regular season game with highlights from Vili Tongatea, their running back, and their other running back, as well as their passing game going pretty well. And so it's unfortunate to see the season end for them the way it did, but I know their coach, Pooney Ellis, definitely had a season that they were proud of, especially putting up 42 points in their game last night.
Yeah, and something that I really noticed, not just in the sense for Buckeye, because, I mean, obviously Buckeye putting up 42 points, obviously they weren't able to win the game, but, I mean, putting up 42 points, that's a close game. When it's a 56-42 game, I mean, that's back and forth most likely the whole game. Something that I really noticed about the 4A bracket is how close a lot of these games were. Like, you had number 14 Thunderbird actually knock off the number 3 seed Marcos de Niza 17-14, so that's a really close game right there. The 6 seed Canyon del Oro beating St. Mary's 13-7. You got games like Prescott upsetting Apache Junction 35-28. So, I mean, a lot of close games early on in the 4A bracket. Is there any other games you want to touch on, Paul, or should we move on to 5A?
Yeah, no, I mean, just speaking more broadly throughout the whole AIA playoffs, I know there's always some commentary that people like to make as far as how the position, how the rankings turn out, how the divisions turn out and stuff like that. And it's tough because of the whole strength of schedule thing and stuff like that. But I
100%.
think, especially here in the 4A, it looks like we had some pretty good matchups. So we'll see as we move on to the other ones how that turned out.
Yeah, so I want to move on to 5A. For me, one of the schools that I was at a lot this season was Canyon View. Canyon View, they did a great job at the end of the season, really getting their groove back, finding a way to insert themselves into the 5A playoffs. I'm pretty sure Canyon View was like ranked 19, something like that, going into the final 2 games of the regular season. Ended up getting the 14 seed, obviously had to go to Higley. Wasn't an easy game for them, a 49-12 loss. So that was tough seeing Canyon View lose that game. But once again, like we said, there's a lot of close games here in the 5A as well. There's some more blowouts. Obviously, Horizon with the huge win, 49-0 over Gilbert. You got Marana beating Sunny Slope 26-17. Cactus beat Willow Canyon by a touchdown, 21-14. So a lot of close games, a few upsets as well. Anything that stands out to you, Paul?
No, I actually want to go a little bit into that matchup. You mentioned Canyon View and their tough loss to Higley, and the team that Higley will be playing next is Desert Edge, the game we were at on Friday night.
We were at Desert Edge.
They just absolutely, for lack of a better way to describe it, blew out Central in the first half and built a 42-point lead, had a running clock the entire second half. But going into this next matchup against Higley, it's going to be really interesting because they were dominant on both sides of the ball. They had a good presence in the run game and the pass game, but they had an incredible amount of penalties during that game that didn't really hurt them because of the score. But I think that's something that they definitely are going to need to work on this week in the discipline area if they're going to want to have a good shot at beating Higley here. As Higley's number 3 seed, Desert Edge number 6.
Yeah, and I mean, Desert Edge, like you said, Paul, we were at that game, and their offense was explosive, like 42-0 at halftime. It was very clear that they were just trying to run down the clock in the second half. Obviously, the offense wasn't as fluid in the second half, in my opinion, but still, like, Desert Edge looked dominant in that game. They controlled the entire game, multiple turnovers for them on the defensive end. offensively, some huge running plays, some huge passing plays as well. And I mean, Desert Edge is coached by some great coaches as well with Mark and Marcus Carter. Those guys have done a great job with the program over there. So seeing them get that big win, that was cool. They're definitely one of those teams that can beat a lot of the upper seeded teams as well. I think Desert Edge, I mean, the Agua Fria district in general is a very strong district. I mean, 4 of the 5 teams made the playoffs this year. So I think that kind of speaks to that division or conference as a whole. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Millennium, another team from that conference, 17-10 win over Campo Verde. So they're going to be playing Desert Mountain. Desert Mountain is a huge school. They're a great football program. They actually beat an Agua Fria school district team in the first round this year, beating Verado 38-7. So another big blowout there. I know everybody wants to get into some 6A action and maybe some open action as well. From what I looked at, I mean, the 1 seed in the 6A, Paul Castile, put up 70 points in the first round of the playoffs.
That was, I mean, I know they're going up against the number 16 seed in Cesar Chavez, but I expected a solid performance from Castile, but not a 40-point victory like we had. I mean, they played Corona del Sol in their last regular season game and beat them handily. But Corona, I mean, put up a good fight, especially with a backup quarterback in the game. And Castile, definitely with this first-round playoff performance, I could see him going pretty far as they get ready to take on Mountain Point next week, who edged out Mountain Ridge 42-41.
Yeah, and that was one of those games I wanted to touch on, Paul. So I'm gonna kind of bring up a few of the games that I'm looking at in 6A that were really interesting to me. Like Pinnacle, for example, beating Valley Vista 46-0, just absolutely asserting dominance in that game. Obviously, they look great on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Obviously, you got Mesa beating Corona del Sol 24-21, a huge upset. 14 seed beating a 3 seed. Red Mountain holding on against Brophy Prep 45-38, another close game. And then this game was crazy as well because Sal Point Catholic beat Williamsfield 36-33 in double overtime. So we've seen a lot of close games in these playoffs, and then we've also seen some uneven matchups, if you could say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just going briefly to that Corona del Sol game, but an absolute heartbreaker for a team that the Varsity Sports Show has covered throughout the season. I know talking to some of their broadcasters last night after the game, just a really rough go as they had Connor Ackerley, their star quarterback, out for a couple of games. Crew Swearingen came in, played well for them in that off time that Ackerley had, but just nothing was, I mean, they were productive on offense last night, just not in the right moments, and they weren't able to really get anything going or get a spark to really push them over the edge against Mesa. But moving on, I think we're going to have a good matchup in a lot of these second round 6A games.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for everybody that is listening right now. We really enjoyed having you guys here talking about some playoffs here in Arizona high school football. So we'll send you guys back to the rest of Varsity Weekly, but we hope that you enjoyed this little segment here. I'm Sto Zafiropoulos. Thanks, Paul. That was Paul Schultz, everybody, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey guys, Vince here to talk about Angel Dentistry. It's where my wife and I have gone for over 10 years, and we trust them with our routine and extensive dental care because they care. Dr. Amber Angel is an Arizona native, born in the town of Miami, and has been practicing in the Valley over 20 years. For general to comprehensive dental services, call 602-788-2008. Located off of Cave Creek Road just north of the 101 in North Phoenix. Angel Dentistry, proud supporters of our young people and proud partners of the Varsity Sports Show.
Thank you, Paul and Stos. And to continue the high school football playoffs talk, we'll hand it over to Aiden, who had a chance to recap Desert Mountain's win against Verado High School this past Friday for the first round of playoffs in the 5A division.
Hey everyone, this is Aiden Richmond with the Varsity Sports Show. Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Varsity Weekly. We have plenty of phenomenal postseason high school football coverage happening right here with Varsity Sports Show, including Desert Mountain High School, who came away with a big 38-7 win in the first round over Verado, which featured a stellar performance from Dylan Tapley, who grabbed 2 interceptions and a receiving touchdown. Our very own Noel Blumel had a chance to speak with Dylan after the game.
Hello, Varsity Sports Show. It is Noelle Blumel here at Desert Mountain High School, where the Desert Mountain Wolves have just defeated the Vipers of Verrado High School in the first playoff game of the 5A division. I am here with Dylan Tapley. Dylan, what did you see from your team tonight that you liked, and kind of what was the mindset going into tonight's game, and was it executed?
We were just hungry. I mean, first round of playoffs, we treated this like a new season. So we had an 8-2 record, so we said, screw that. We're 0-0. It's the first game. We got to reprove ourselves, reintroduce ourselves. Came out with high energy, high execution from the start, and just carried that ever since.
And despite an almost near shutout, you had the 2 touchdowns called back, but the interception as well, kind of emotions all over the place. How were you able to manage the mindset and kind of stay steady to keep the win up?
Once again, I was just hungry. Wanted to do what I could to help the team win, and I was put in a great position to make a play. Shout out to my coaches, always putting in position to succeed, and we just kept our foot on the gas and all gas, no brakes.
Absolutely, and kind of going into next week, loser goes home. There's everything on deck right now. What's going to be the mindset in preparation for Millennium next week?
Oh, yeah, we got to have a great week of practice, give it our all. Millennium's a really good team. I know some people think that just because they're a 10 seed and we're the 2 seed, we should boat race them, but we got to treat this like it's a championship game. They're a really good 10 seed, and I'm excited for this matchup.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck rest of the season, and congrats on the win.
The Wolves will play Millennium at home on Friday the 25th, surely with plenty of momentum coming off their big win. And that's going to do it for me. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Varsity Weekly. I'm Aiden Richmond for the Varsity Sports Show.
Chris Scott of RE/MAX is Central Oregon's best realtor for anyone thinking of a vacation home or relocation. He's our very own born and raised Phoenician who moved his family to Central Oregon nearly 15 years ago. Contact Chris if you're thinking of exploring beautiful Central Oregon. It truly is living at its best. 541-999-5614. Proud partner of the Varsity Sports Shows, it's Dylan.
Thanks, Aiden. And yes, additionally, I had the chance to speak with Coach Hamilton of the Desert Mountain Wolves post-game, and here's what he had to say. Again, alongside me is head coach of the Wolves, Coach Hamilton. Coach, first of all, congratulations on the first win of playoffs, continuing the quest, keeping the season alive. Almost near a shutout, 38-7, but a lot of penalties called on you guys throughout this game. A little bit of a roller coaster. What are your thoughts on the team's overall performance?
I think we're happy with the win, right? We talked about that earlier, right? Lose and go home, win and advance, so we're happy we're advancing. I thought we started the game, fast early. We got up on them pretty quick. Brady hit a long run, and, a couple 3-and-outs got us going, getting the ball back quickly. But, I think we hit a lull there once we knew it was 31-0. We're just been real sloppy these last 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know if our guys are tired or losing focus when we get up. But, again, that's a big concern. We're double-digit penalties again tonight. And then defensively, I know we scored a lot. We ran the ball well. We threw the ball well. We did some good things on offense. We are shooting ourselves in the foot with the penalties. And defensively or whatever, I think there were opportunities for them tonight. They just didn't see them because there were guys running wide open. That's, uncharacteristic of us. 2 weeks in a row or whatever, I don't think we played our best defensive games against, I would think, that lesser opponents as well. So I don't know if it's a lack of focus, but I have to do a better job leading those guys, and we'll get it straight. But, again, good overall team win. Yeah.
Absolutely. And kind of with that, going into next week, obviously you have eliminated the Vipers in their quest in playoffs, but how do you plan to manage kind of the focus and reel it back in order to avoid double-digit penalties moving forward?
You know what? Well, the first thing we did was that we said it was a victory Saturday, so basically we gave them tomorrow off. Normally we come in, we run, and we lift, we watch film. But you know what? This one's behind us. We'll make the corrections on film. We'll send it to them if we need to, and then we'll walk through everything that we didn't do right on Monday morning in class and stuff like that. But I think they need some rest, go home. Hopefully they have some family coming in town for Thanksgiving break and all that stuff. Let them hang out with their families for a couple days, and then get back at it on Monday. I think we're playing Millennium, if I'm not sure. Yes. Yeah. So I figured that's what I felt like. They had better athletes than Campo, and so I felt like that would be the team that we would play. So we'll see. But, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll give them a couple of days off. Hopefully they'll refocus.
Absolutely. Well-deserved days off indeed. But just real quick thoughts on Millennium next week and kind of that team specifically.
I haven't seen much film. I just Millennium from the past. I know they have some guys that can run. I know they have a good running back. I don't know much about what they do defensively or schematically what they're doing at all. I'll take in the night. Normally I don't, I'll probably watch this game film probably about 15 or 20 times before I move on, to be honest with you, to figure out how teams are going to try to attack us, on both sides of the ball a little bit, and then start to focus on Millennium, where they're at, what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish, who their best players are, who do we have to stay from, who do we have to stop, all that stuff or whatnot. Put it in the game plan and get it rolling next week. So yeah, it'll be fun. But I know normally they're pretty athletic.
Definitely. Well, again, Coach, congrats on the first win and best of luck rest of playoffs. Thank you.
Founder-level sponsors, the Kristen Graziano Group with HomeSmart Elite, are proud to be Saguaro alumni, community advocates, and your hometown realtors. The Kristen Graziano Group is ranked in the top 1.5% of real estate teams nationally, and your top-selling team right here in SaberCat territory. The Kristen Graziano Group can currently be seen on the Emmy-nominated TV show Selling the Valley of the Sun. When you're ready to buy, sell, or want to know the value of your home, reach out to the group that knows the neighborhood, the Kristen Graziano Group.
Once again, a huge congratulations to Coach Hamilton and the Wolves of Desert Mountain High School as they continue their quest in the 5A Division playoffs. Now let's hand it over to Michaela Nagel, who had the chance to speak with Ashley Menny, who is one of the key players on the Arizona State women's golf team.
Hey everyone, it's Michaela Nagel here with the Varsity Sports Show. I'm here with Ashley Menny, who is a two-time All-American for the ASU women's golf team. Ashley, how did you start golf in the first place?
So I started golf when I was 5, and I picked it up because my dad and brother played, and I always kind of wanted to beat my brother and everything because he was older, and we always kind of had that competitive thing going. So I picked it up, and ever since then, I just been golfing.
Perfect. And how does it, how is the atmosphere like for ASU? How did you deal with the whole COVID year? How did that all work out for you?
The atmosphere at ASU for golf has been great. I mean, we're surrounded by so many great players all the time. We recruit internationally as well as locally, and, our coach is always looking for, the best of the best. And so I think that's just great, being surrounded by good players, because that's the only way you can get better. And I would say, dealing with COVID was a little tough, I would say, just because school wasn't as normal as it is now. You get like a different experience. There really wasn't anyone on campus. It felt like, we were the only ones, the athletes were the only ones in the dorms. It was just kind of almost dead on campus and lonely. So I would say, now with everything, we're competing again, everything's going back to normal. It's been great. And even like going to class, like we didn't even go to class the fall of my freshman year. I mean, we had to Zoom in every single time. And so I think that made it a little worse as well. So, but since then it's been great. I've loved my experience, and I wouldn't ask to change it at all.
For sure. What has been your favorite part of this experience? Like what has been your highlight or multiple highlights so far being on this team?
The highlight being on this team has probably been, just the girls. I love my teammates. They're amazing. Every single one of them. Everyone brings like a different personality, a different point of view to the table. And everyone has like a different game. So, I feel like I learn a lot from my teammates in general, from just even like hanging around them and playing and stuff and practicing. So I would say that, and also our facilities have been amazing. We're so lucky to have access to one of probably the nicest facilities in the country. And, with golf being available year round, I can come and practice year round. So I'm lucky, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, of course. How does it feel? You're a senior now, so how does it feel kind of stepping into that leadership role and just kind of having those other girls like look up to you as an inspiration and just as a leader in general?
It's been interesting. It's crazy to think that I'm, an upperclassman now. I would say freshman Ashley would not see myself being in this position, but I don't mind it at all. Like, I've been around the block a couple times and I've, played events and in a lot of I've played a lot of golf courses in general. So I just kind of have like a better grasp of, what to expect. And I don't mind sharing my knowledge with the other girls and like helping them a little bit along the way, if they need help. But overall, I think it's been great. I think everyone gets along so well, and it just makes it so easy to be the leader.
Yeah, of course, of course. So I know you weren't born in Arizona, but you grew up in Arizona. So how does it feel just like still being here? And I know we talked earlier this week and you kind of wanted to move away and stuff like that. But what is it like just kind of knowing the courses and being familiar with the area? How has that helped you, I guess, in your career here?
I would say it's helped a lot just because especially my freshman and sophomore years, we played probably more events than we ever had in Arizona just due to like COVID issues and stuff. But it just made me feel more comfortable in the transition of, high school golf to college golf, because it's kind of a different ball game. Like I never really honestly, I did play at Xavier for, high school, but it wasn't a year-long thing. Like I would do my own thing for basically the rest of the year after like the first 2 months of high school golf. But here I'm like, these people are my family. Like I spend 24/7 with them. I have practice every day. We were competing year long, so it's the entire school year. And yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michaela. And everybody be sure to look for Ashley this upcoming golf season on the green. Now I'll hand it over to Sam with our Southern Arizona reports.
In the first round of the 5A Divisional Conference Playoffs, the number 8 seed Marana took on the number 9 seed Sunny Slope, in which Marana defeated Sunny Slope by a score of 26-17.
The first quarter started out with a Marana lead at 7-3. Marana made their way downfield to score the first touchdown of the game. Senior quarterback Elijah Joplin rushed for about 15 yards. Jason Wood caught a pass and ran to inside the 5-yard line, which then running back Matthew Jensen ran in for the score. Sunny Slope then immediately responded with a long field goal. With a little over 30 seconds left in the first quarter, Marana tried to widen the gap of the game with a huge run by Jensen, but couldn't convert. Meanwhile, about midway through the second quarter, Sunny Slope responded with a 70-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Luke Moga to wide receiver Dylan Dwiggins. Marana didn't take that touchdown lightly, as they once again made their way down the field to retake the lead from Sunny Slope. Matthew Jensen continued to rack up the yardage and the points as he ran in for his second touchdown of the game to make the score 13-10 in favor of Marana. As the second half got underway, both sides tried their hardest to keep or take the lead from each other, including another massive run from Marana's running back, Matthew Jensen. During the second half, both teams' defenses really started to show as both sides forced fumbles for their teams to recover. Both sides exchanged touchdowns, making it a 19-17 lead for Marana with only a few minutes left to play. It was a battle of the quarterbacks in the end as they both rushed for touchdowns for their respective teams. With Sunny Slope only down by 2 points in the red zone, they had no choice but to take the lead. However, Marana wasn't ready to give up as their defense stepped up in the moment of truth with 3 big stops, including a blocked field goal.
Catch Marana back in action next week in round 2 as they face off against the number 1 seed, Notre Dame Prep. This has been Sam Gilman, Varsity Weekly.
In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Thanks, Sam. And to end our show, we'll hand it over to Aaron Herpy and Jay Wilder, who had the chance to cover Corona del Sol and Horizon High School's first football game of playoffs this past Friday.
Hey, Varsity Sports Show, this is Aaron Herpy. I'm the
Well, we got beat. You know, I give a lot of credit to Mesa High. They came out, played hard, and we just got beat tonight. We missed some opportunities, so would have liked to have been the season on the season.
And this marks the end of the season for you guys. You continue on. You have lost quite a few seniors on this team. What should we be looking for?
Well, I mean, yeah, these seniors, it's going to be tough to lose in a really good group. But we do bring back quite a few guys, and we're working hard all off season. And we just look forward to being able to build on this season.
Roman Funk, our varsity player of the game. And Coach, you talked about it last week with us, right? The playoffs is a new season. So can you talk about the energy you had coming into this postseason, first game?
I think that anytime that you're the defending champ, you come in with a chip on your shoulder, especially when you're not the number 1 seed. And we've reiterated to our guys that we're coming to defend our title. So that brings a chip to your shoulder, so.
And Roman, the running game was super effective tonight, not only from the running backs, but the quarterback position. You got a touchdown yourself on an excellent play-action play. So can you just talk about the importance of getting you and Zordani and et cetera involved in the running game?
Obviously we know that not only the running backs are runners, quarterbacks can be runners too, and we pride ourselves on being able to run the ball and throw the ball. So.
And Coach, you guys won by 49 points today, and can you talk about the mindset your team has coming into next week?
We're going to play a great opponent, and we know that the road gets tougher, and we just talked about it. But we're going to embrace the tough, and when you defend a title, you've got to go through tough roads, and we're excited about the challenge next week.
And Zordani, my apologies, Funk. So there's multiple quarterbacks that play on your team at a consistent basis. Can you just talk about establishing momentum, because it's pretty rare for multiple quarterbacks to play in the same game. So you just talk about the rhythm aspect coming in at different spurts of the game.
So coming into the game, obviously we both trust one another, and we trust Coach to make the right decisions. Coming in, obviously I know once he gets it going, I got to keep it going, and if I'm in and I get it going, he's got to keep it going too. So just trusting each other and building off one another.
He is Coach Andy Litton. He is quarterback Roman Funk. I am Jay Wilder. Huskies advance.
Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.
Hey guys, it's Noelle Blumel, and I'm super excited to be a part of the Varsity Sports Show team. Since being an athlete my whole life and a former collegiate volleyball player, I value the many benefits that sports bring. Whether it's on the court or field, I'm grateful to have this opportunity to tell your stories and further my pursuit in becoming a sideline reporter. You can catch me on Sundays as one of the Varsity Weekly anchors or calling some games as a color analyst this fall. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you later on the field.
Thank you, Aaron and Jay, for that coverage. And with that, our episode has come to an end. Thank you all for tuning in, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Varsity Show for all things Arizona sports information. Once again, I'm your host, Noelle Blumel, wishing you a happy early Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week here on Varsity Weekly.